Te aroha mutunga kore no tane. Ka hore o I te mohio, te aroha tuatu. Tō manoa toku oranga. Ahakua, ka hore o I te mohio me pehe taua. Kia piki ake te mua, ki mua ia taua. Ko tenei, taku pono, me taku tika. Iara, ko taua taua.
I love you, Felicity. I promise I'll spend the rest of my life making you as happy as you make me. Now, this here is a korowai. And it holds the stories of my whānau, now our whānau. And it symbolises how my love will surround and protect you for the rest of our lives.
We are Si and Sophie. This is Coastal News, a home and away podcast, your weekly episode companion podcast for your favourite Aussie soap.
The week that was, Sophie, was it blockbuster or lackluster for you? What's the verdict?
There was a lot of stuff going on, wasn't there? We had everything, didn't we?
We did.
We had
did.
like love, marriage, death, romance. Yeah.
I know, all the
Action.
genres.
Yeah.
They weren't
Comedy.
lying. Yeah, it was blockbuster, wasn't it?
Action, kung fu action. Yeah, it was everything, wasn't it?
I can't, do you know, I feel like, you know, when you've reached the end of like an epic journey, you know, like you've been on like a really long flight, or you've had a flight followed by a bus, followed by a train, followed by a taxi, and you just arrive home and you put your thing down, you go, what on earth just happened? Like, how did when did this start? That's what this week feels like, both on the show and off the show in life. But yeah, no, overall I quite enjoyed it. You know, blockbuster week. Was it what I was expecting? I can't really put my finger on what I thought was going to happen. No. But you're right. We seem to have basically a week at the movies. Like, you know, the romance. We had a rom-com type thing going on later in the week with Eden and Cash. Obviously, the big 8,000 episode wedding of the century, and we'll come on to it, I'm sure, later in more detail. We had all the drama of the action of the whole Ava, like you say, thing. So we sort of covered quite a lot of ground, and I quite enjoyed it actually.
Yeah, it's been an entertaining week, hasn't it? I wouldn't say it was like a filler week or a boring week or anything like that. The only thing for me is that it's the block storytelling, isn't it? Where everything is done separately, so none of these stories overlap. Yeah, with each other, and no one else in this outside of that story seems to know what's going on anywhere else.
It was very much Monday we're doing this, and then we went to Brie and Remy, and then we finished that, and then we went to the wedding, and then after the wedding we went to Eden and Cash. It was very like that, wasn't it? You're right. Quite blocking. Do you know what as well? I was thinking, sort of watching this evening. This blockbuster week, everything's sort of culminated in all these stories, these concurrent stories. Everything's come to a head. Like I was running ahead like into next week and the week after, thinking, "Gosh, what's going to happen?" Because we've made all these stories mad this week. You know, I was thinking, what is going to happen now? We've resolved a few things. We've heightened a few things. You know. I was thinking, oh gosh, what's going to happen on the show next week? But you know, sometimes you get that lull after something dead exciting. And I was thinking, we had about 4 exciting things now this week. Is the lull going to be luller?
We could get a lull. We'll have to see on First Look tomorrow, won't we, if we get one? But I don't know. For me, I don't know whether you feel like this as well. Obviously, the wedding, the first wedding that never actually turned into a wedding. You know, the crash. The bikie gang, the crash, all that stuff. I probably would have put that as blockbuster stuff because that was so mad, that episode. You know,
Yeah,
that crash, those
and
scenes.
the special effects and the post.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
fire and that car, like those scenes where we just saw the car rolling over and over and over, and I just mad stuff. I was probably more, I don't know, more blown
impressed.
away, yeah,
Yeah,
than I was this week with that whole episode. I don't know why that wasn't blockbuster, but this week, I know it's probably because of the 8,000th episode and that coinciding with the wedding. But I would have put that as blockbuster for me, really.
yeah, yeah. I think this week it obviously turned out to be something for everyone. You know, like we say, we've sort of pigeonholed. There's a rom-com episode, there's an action episode, there was a comedy episode, there was a romantic episode. So there was sort of something for all, really, wasn't there? And I think, like I say, these episodes, these storylines that have been going on, that have been rumbling on, have all sort of come to a head all at once. Really, is the only difference. Other than that, they felt a bit more BAU, didn't they?
Yeah, I'd agree
But
with that.
having said that, there was some interesting, directorial choices, I thought, as well this week. I mean, Home and Away's always been quite loose with that. Flashbacks and visions and funny camera angles and blurry. We had all that this week, so it was enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And happy 8,000 episodes.
yeah.
We're into the
Milestone.
eights. We might remember the episode numbers for a few weeks. Other than that, how are you? How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been good. This is, I don't know about you, but I've struggled to do my first 5-day week for a couple of weeks because I think we
Been a
got
slog,
spoiled.
hasn't it?
Got spoiled with the bank holidays. I know we've got another one coming up at the end of the month, which I'm looking forward to. But I've been really busy, so it's gone quickly. But gosh, I'm glad it's Friday now. Were you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a slog. We've made it to podcast day. Whoop whoop.
Yay.
Do you want your headlines?
I do.
The fallout from Justin's aggressive behaviour spills into a new week as he's charged. But has Ava turned a corner? Bree's clinic appointment approaches as her and Remy finally talk. Finally. The big day arrives. Tane and Felicity tie the knot in the most gorgeous ceremony known to man and woman. And Xander and his colleague are ambushed for drugs, resulting in serious consequences.
Please take the time to like, subscribe, and review Coastal News wherever you source your podcasts and ensure you never miss an episode.
So, Justin, we left him, didn't we? Absolutely pummeling. What were we calling him?
Van Guy. Yeah, we're so what's the word? Imaginative with our nicknames. Van Guy. Who is Van Guy? I don't think he has a name, does he? Oh no, he did have a name.
Was it Connor or something?
That was it.
Yeah,
it was Connor.
yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, it didn't come till after we'd already dubbed him Van Guy, though. And things stick round here. Things stick. Now, I was thinking. So we were really wound up, weren't we? We were really quite vocal about this last week. His behaviour is indefensible. I was actually quite cross with him. And I was bracing myself on Monday. Thinking, oh gosh, I'm really, really going to be really upset with him. But all I could think about was who called the popo.
Yes. Yeah.
Cash just turned up. How did he know about all this?
And where were they? Because I didn't recognise that parking lot or whatever it was by the beach where they'd parked up in the van. So I was like, how far away is this from, from the surf club or from the beach or from Salt or, like where that area is?
It's somewhere. It's a different town, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels like
Can't
it's further along the coast than where where we normally are for beach type scenes. It felt a bit further along. I don't know.
It can't be as far as Inky Dinkyville because they would be they wouldn't be covering that jurisdiction, would they? So they were definitely
No.
somewhere else. You know, he'd gone somewhere else for a surf, hadn't he? We've discussed at length last week. You know, he should have answered the phone when it was ringing and said, you know, I've got your daughter. She's upset about something. You know, she had an argument with a fella, whatever. It didn't for whatever reason, and then wires got crossed. Obviously, Justin's arrived swiftly followed by the police, who have had to peel him off a blood-soaked Van Guy Connor. And yeah, he gets arrested on the spot, hurled back to the police station. This guy, we can't really, you know, downplay this. This guy's been hospitalized from this beating. It was a vicious attack. And we can't downplay that.
Unprovoked. It wasn't like Justin went up to him and this, you know, said, "What have you done with my daughter?" and he's given him, you know, a mouthful back or anything like that. This guy, he's literally just got out of the car, seen Ava lying in the back of his van, seen this guy standing next to the van and punched him out. And it's like he's not given any thought to what he's doing. It's just reacted, hasn't he? So you just can't do that, Justin. No matter what the circumstances are, no matter whose fault it is, you know, Ava for lying, you know, whatever, like she's got some responsibility to take, which we'll talk about later, but you can't just go around just punching people. It's just not on.
And he knows better than that. You know, well, he should do, given his history. But so frustrating because he's let himself down big time. The back of the police station, aren't they? He's taken in for questioning. Ava's there. Leah's arrived back from her impromptu city trip. And Theo's rushed there, and Ava says to him, "What happened? You know, it was meant to be you who came." And then Theo's face is like, "What have you done?" And I'm at it. I don't think I can watch any more of this. Was so annoyed, not because I wasn't enjoying it, but because I was reacting so strongly to Ava's behavior, Justin's behavior, the lack of any sort of response really from the police, because there's this whole there's this whole sugarcoating bit, isn't there, where it's like Ava wants to go home, let's go home with Ava, and I'm thinking she should be in there being questioned herself. Actually,
I think at the beginning of the week when this all sort of transpired, and obviously the police arrested Justin, they had to arrest him. I mean, Cash, you know, he's caught back to rights, isn't he? Cash has seen him handling this guy. You know, there's no defense there. You can't say.
Leah says it. The police were there, saw him doing it.
They saw you. Yeah, so they obviously hauled him into the station, starts questioning him, and then you can tell Justin, he still thinks that something awful's happened to Ava. Like, he thinks his daughter's been assaulted, essentially, is what's we're supposed to think. And he's saying, was I too late? You know, did I get there too late? Is it, you know, I think in his mind he was asking Cash, did the guy already do stuff to her before I got there? Was it too late to stop it? Had it already happened?
Yeah.
So I think at this point you have to believe that Rose and Cash will also think that Ava's gone through something awful, and that's why everybody is kind of stepping around her carefully, because they think this girl may have been attacked.
Yeah. It just didn't sit right with me, though. He had absolutely no evidence. He jumped out the car, saw red just because she was laying in the back of his van. There was absolutely no evidence that anything had happened. He should have spoken to her, actually, first, before jumping to conclusions.
Yeah.
And the police, they all know what she's like, Justin included, what she's been like with Theo.
Yes.
You know, and her, you know, you would immediately be thinking, is she doing something again? You know, is she playing games? Is this part of all this stuff that's been going on? The very fact that it's Theo that she's spoken to only on the phone as well, to me, that would be a massive clue that not everything is as first presents itself. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't sit right with me. I know what you're saying. We've got to go with. There's, you know, she could have been harmed. You know.
Yeah.
But there's absolutely no evidence. In fact, for me, there's greater evidence. It's to the contrary. You know, it's not the first time she's gone walkabout.
No, I know. I guess.
God, I'm getting wound up.
No, I know. I think the fact that the police were there has obviously escalated it as well, because if it had just been Justin, you know, maybe he would have calmed down long enough for that guy to explain, or maybe he would have just pummeled him to death. I don't know. Maybe it's a good job the police were there, but because the police were there, they saw it. And Justin's reaction to Cash, for me, was a dad thinking his daughter had been assaulted or raped or something. You know, Cash as a policeman is going to take that seriously, isn't he? He's going to say, right, okay, this is not a motive. You know, it's a crime, essentially, what Justin's done, but it's not an excuse. But there's a reason why this has escalated in this way. And if what Justin is assuming has happened is true, we've got to be really careful with this girl. This girl's, 15, 16 years old. And that guy was older than that. You know, there's a lot going on there that they've got to be careful around.
Yeah, you are right. Yeah. And I suppose that's why Rose agrees to chaperone her back home, I suppose. And she also needs to get a statement off her as well.
Yeah.
Now,
if they just shoved her in a questioning room and put a light on in her face and said, tell me what happened, you know, that you can't do that to someone that's potentially a victim of a sexual assault. You know, that's not cool. So,
I would have done.
As much as as the viewers, we know that she's a little madam, don't we? She's made all this stuff up, but I can certainly see from the police's point of view that they do not want to be doing that hardline questioning of her. Yeah.
Well, Rue's getting all. It was. I tell you, Rue getting all muddled in and all. Oh, I'll look after her. Oh, let me take her home. And it's Rue she opens up to at the end. Rue and Rose. But I was thinking, Rue, what's this got to do with you, love?
Yeah. Do you know what? Everyone's attitude towards Ava has really changed this week. Because last week everyone was, you know, even Irene was saying, "Oh, she's trouble," you know, or there's something wrong with that girl. She's up to stuff. You know, everyone last week was talking about Ava, weren't they? And they're talking about her again this week off the back of this. But now it's all, oh, poor Ava. And I'm like, really? It's frustrating. But yeah, you're right.
It was for sure.
She did sort of, I think Rose was convinced that something had probably happened. Because otherwise, why would Justin have gone off the handle like that? I mean, I don't know whether Rose knows Justin well enough to know that Justin has got that rage bubbling under the surface, and it does come out. Maybe to her, this was so out of character for Justin, there had to be a reason for it. So, okay, let's talk to Ava, because
it'll be on his record. He's been in there before.
She is quite snoopy though, isn't she?
Well, she's supposed to be.
Yeah, she's quite a snoop, so she may know. She may have checked everybody's crim record. Not her own boyfriends.
No.
Doesn't look up her own boyfriends, but she does snoop on the neighbours. Yeah, I don't know. I think I went with it because I could see why the cops were doing that.
You convinced me from the cops' point of view, but not Justin's. Justin knows what she's like.
Yeah.
But you have talked me round with the cops there. Leah was spitting fire though, weren't she? I've heard this. I was just begging for a reaction. You know, I was literally running to the TV to tune in just to find out what Leah was going to do. You know, I've heard it. She lays into him, and good on her. You know, in fact, if I was in Leah's shoes, he'd have had something a bit sterner. Actually, I thought she was quite tame. But Leah, you know, I've heard this all before. Why are we here again? You know, you call the police, that's their job. I can barely look at you. And I thought, yes, give it to him, mother. Give it to him. I thought, he'll never learn. You know, he'll never. And you know that whole a leopard never changes its spots. You know, she's now facing her partner going away. You know, and she's going to have to deal with the family on her own. You know,
businesses. You
know, Cash has told him these charges are serious. You're looking at jail time. You know, not only that, some poor guy at this point. I mean, they've later found out he was stable, but he was in hospital, severely ill from this beating. You know, putting myself in her shoes, your partner is capable of doing that to somebody just under a silly misunderstanding. You know, with a teenage girl. I mean, come on. Going to be asking yourself a lot of questions, aren't you? Like, what does my future look like with this person?
Definitely, yeah. It's scary, isn't it? Because it is out of character for Justin if you don't know him very well. But obviously, we've seen him over the years. We've seen him erupt that whole drug withdrawal and addiction cycle that he was in. he was evil, wasn't he, during
Mm.
that as well. So we have seen this ragey, angry Hulk Justin before. But you're right. I mean, he's an upstanding member of the community. He's got a business. Leah's got a business. They're probably well known. It's not a very big place. It's reputation, and for Leah, family, reputation, everything, And she's quite right when she starts to say to Irene, because Irene's like, well, what about her relationship, his relationship with Ava? And she was like, yeah, what about that? Has that ruined the relationship that they've got? Is Ava's mom ever going to let her anywhere near him again? If he just goes to prison, will Ava get to visit, or will that be it? The mom will just never let her come back to the Bay again. She must be thinking all of that. So, yeah, I do feel for her, actually.
Yeah, I do. And I honestly don't blame her for reacting the way. In fact, I think because she said a piece and then she sort of supported it all then, didn't she?
Yeah.
Which I thought was very, very good of her. I'd have been sleeping over at Rue's again.
Well, they fall out over less things, don't they? I mean, we've seen her, throw the duvet at him and say, you're sleeping on the sofa for way less than this. So I was really expecting a meltdown and for her to be like, right, I'm moving out, or I don't know. I thought that she's got quite a temper, she's not violent like he is, but she has got quite a temper. She holds a grudge, Leah does, doesn't she? So I really thought they were going to come to blows, but I think she's realised that he's absolutely mortified, and probably her beating him up. He's already doing that himself, isn't he? He's regretting it himself.
I think this is only the beginning, me though. We know this. He said, you're on bail now. You'll get a court date. I think, running up to the court date now. I think they're going to clash about that. I think he's going to worry about going in. What's going to happen to his business? It's like you say, am I going to lose custody? Am I going to lose access to Ava? I think there's going to be a lot of issues here now in that family, in that dynamic. It doesn't take Ava long to open up to Rose and Rue, actually, I thought as well. She soon says, she did it for attention. I did it because, I needed attention off Theo. Soon comes to light. There's a bit of a moment where she's saying, you don't know me, to Rue. And that's how the whole thing gets resolved, really, is Ava admitting that she's been doing things on purpose. And then suddenly that means everything's okay. She's going to apologize to everybody. She's going to explain herself to she said, I owe Kirby and Theo a very big apology. I'm going to back off. I've been awful. She suddenly, this has been enough for her to see the light and turn away, which to me, given how deep this obsession ran, seemed a little quick.
It was quick. Yeah, I'd agree with that, because last week I was completely convinced that she was delusional and she really believed that Theo was in love with her and that they were destined to be together, and Kirby was in the way and Justin was in the way. We saw the act around other people, because she said in front of Justin, didn't she, to Theo, she said, oh, we're in love. And a part of me was like, is she doing this to lash out, to get attention from her dad? But she did that to Theo on his own when they were just the two of them. She was still saying, like, oh, you can drop the pretense now. It's just us. Just thinking, oh, she really does believe this. This isn't an act. This is delusion.
Yeah.
But this week, all of a sudden, it's, okay, yeah, I did it all for attention and I know it's wrong. And I'm like, okay, so she does know the difference between, like, reality and fantasy then.
Yeah. Does she, or is the game still carrying on? Is this part of the game? Do you know what I mean?
It's confusing.
It is. It really is. And then there's that whole blowout where Justin comes home, and they have that dreaded talk, and she says, I want to be an adult. And he says, you want to be an adult? Drags her to the cop shop, to hear from the horse's mouth the charges he's facing as a result of her actions. It's like she's been scared into changing, but I think she needs more than that. I think she needs proper help,
Yeah.
Like you say, it's delusion territory. She genuinely was saying it rather, playing games. Is this all part of the act? Are we going to find out soon? Yeah. Do I trust the girl? Do I help?
It's so big. It's such a big lie. I think that's where I'm struggling. So if this was, the usual kind of teenage lying, you weren't at school today, were you? Oh, yes, I was. No, you weren't. We got a call from the school and they said you were bunking off. Okay, yeah, I was in the park with my friends. You know, that kind of level of lie
Yeah.
where you're not jeopardizing someone's future. What she's done is basically tell people that this guy that she's met has molested her or kidnapped her or done something awful to her. That's such a big lie. It hasn't just got an impact for her. It's not just her saying a lie about herself, saying where she was when she wasn't there, or you know what I mean. Like, it's not something trivial that every teenager probably lies to their parents about. This is huge.
Yeah.
You know, and the consequences of this lie, if people believed it, this guy could have gone to court for kidnap and for assaulting her and all of that. Like, he could have been charged with that. But the consequence actually is that her dad has beaten him to a pulp, which is even worse in a way, because this guy's now, you know, he's in a hospital for no the only thing he's done wrong is he's picked her up and helped her.
I know. And I hope we get to see this play out in court, because, you know, I think this is going to rumble on, and I think this is going to unravel as we go. It can't just be resolved in that way. Way too abrupt, I think, for that to just be the end of it.
And she's not a little girl. She's not like a 10-year-old girl that's, you know, did you take the cookies from the kitchen? Oh no, I didn't. You know, it's not that kind of lie. This is a massive lie.
Serious stuff.
She's 16. That's not really a little, and it's, you know, it's a minor, but she's not a child.
Yeah, it's old enough to know.
Yeah, she knows right from wrong. You know, she knows that this is not the right thing to do. I just don't know where we go from here. I think I would have bought it more if it was a psychotic or psychiatric issue where she really believed these lies that she was telling. Like, in her head, it was all true. I think I would have been able to follow that better, because at least we could just go, okay, so she really needs some help. This poor girl, she's been through something terrible. Something's happened to her, you know, and she needs professional help. And you can almost forgive that, can't you? Because the opposite, the lying and the manipulation, and then actually finding out that she knows that she's doing it, it's just like, why? Yeah.
Yep, completely and utterly on board with that. And I think that's a place we need to end up in. How we get there and the way that's written in, I'm sure we'll have to find out. But yeah, it's too abrupt to be stopped where we are. So I think that's where we need to end up. Her receiving some sort of psychiatric help, for us to even sort of accept any sort of remorse, really. Well, somebody else who might or may not have some remorse about some decisions she's made is Brie. The clinic appointment's nearly arrived. It's the next day as we join her this blockbuster week. And she's down about it. You know, she's all glum. Remy's all glum because he's, you know, doesn't understand why she's gone cold on her again. It's the hot and cold more often than my kitchen kettle. Rose is chatting on the beach with her. And they've sort of struck up quite a reliable friendship, haven't they? Quite enjoyed that, actually. The housemates, you know, she's been given. Do I think her advice has been great the whole time? We were saying a couple of weeks back on here that she sort of told her what she wants to hear, really, rather than face some of the tough decisions. But you know, everyone, each to their own. She's let her go with it and work it out for herself. You know, I'm not going to judge her for that, but I would have sort of give her a bit more tough love, I think, if I was Rose. But I quite like their friendship.
Yeah, I think Rose is what you're saying is absolutely right. She hasn't been. Eden probably did a better job of saying to Brie, you need to, you know, what are you doing with Remy? You're messing with his head. 1 minute you're turning up, the next minute you tell him to go away and leave you alone. But I don't know if Rose knows all of the full story, or whether she just knows what Brie's told her, and Brie's not telling her the full story. No, because Rose did try to say to her, "Are you sure what you saw with that girl was what you saw? You know, do you really think he slept with her or spent the night with her?" And she was like, "Yeah." So Rose was like, "Okay, well, if you're sure, then yeah, he's a douchebag. And absolutely, you as a friend, I would say that as well. If I thought that had happened, I'd be like, okay, yeah, leave it then. He's moved on.
Yeah.
But it's not what happened. She's had to take Bree's word for it, hasn't she? Really?
Yeah, you're right. I think you are right. I think to give her credit, she only knows it from Bree's perspective, doesn't she? She even this scene I was talking about, on the beach where they have this chat. She even starts it by going up to her saying, "You look like you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders." Like, well, of course she has. You know that. You know what's going on. Like. So, yeah, she probably doesn't know as much because we know more as the audience, because we've also seen Remy's side and what Remy's going through. I think we have a bit of a wider picture of everything that Rose probably doesn't have. And sometimes you forget that watching, don't you?
You do. Although she does know that she's a murderer. She does know that she had this toxic relationship with her husband. Her husband kidnapped her essentially and tried to kill her and bury her in the woods.
Well, when you put it like that.
She knows all about it. So to say, "Oh, you look like you're going through some shit, mate," it's like, no wonder. Even without the baby stuff, you'd think that she'd be. I don't know how this woman's at work. How is Bree back at work? I don't get it. It's mad.
And thinking about it, as you just mentioned, all that the family have eased off, have they?
Oh yes.
Because at one point
the murderer text messages.
They were hassling her.
Yeah, murderer.
How did we forget that? Now, so she's having this chat with her. Quite well edited, this, I thought, because then we've got edited in cut with clips of Remy, getting advice from, is it Flick? Can't remember now.
Yeah.
I mean, Flick's suddenly in a position to be giving out life advice. I mean,
those 2 days on the wagon really sorted her out.
I know. One visit to Gary, job done.
Oh,
I mean, she's dishing it out now. Like, go get your girl. There was a reason she came to you that day. Why are you giving up? And I sort of the kick up the arse he needed, I think, to just go over and force Bree to stop running away from her problems. And ultimately, we laugh and we jest about Flick, but ultimately it's her that sort of pushes this along, isn't it? Really? And I'm grateful of it, because I was getting a bit peeved off. It really was. We said last week, didn't we? Or was it the week before? And the week before that, she's losing me, Bree, with this. And listen back, people. We won't go through the same thing again. Sophie and we are on the same page when it comes to Bree. We're starting to quickly lose any sort of support and empathy towards her in a situation, because we just feel like she's making it worse for herself, really.
Yeah.
It does make her go, though, doesn't it? It makes her go to the porch, and he comes home, and then it makes them have that conversation. So it was a good catalyst to get them together.
It was, yeah, absolutely. And I do sympathise with Bree's situation from the point of view of being pregnant with God knows whose baby, and imagine having this child and having to tell them how they were conceived or who their father is, and that whole conversation. It's not a romantic. Oh, we couldn't wait to have you. We were trying for ages to have a child, and then here you are, and like, I loved your dad, and it's whoever's the dad. It's either your dad tried to kill me and I got pregnant during the kidnapped camping trip, or I got pregnant because I was having an affair with your dad, my husband.
Yeah.
With your dad behind his back. It's like there's no romantic story here. There's no nice start to this baby's life. So I can sympathise with that. But what I can't sympathise with is her running hot and cold with Remy. 1 minute it's, I don't want anything, I don't want anything to do with you, get out, I don't want to, get over me. And then the next minute it's, oh, he's got over me, and I can't believe it, and I can't deal with the hot and cold. Even this week she's been hot and cold with him. She was thanking him for being a friend 1 minute and then kissing him. I was like, is he a friend or is he more than a friend? My head would be spinning if I'd be like, am I friend zoned or what am I?
I know. I don't kiss my friends on the lips like that. Do you?
No, not generally, unless I've had a few pints. But No, I'm confused. And like you say, because of the treatment that she's, the treatment of Remy, I'm losing sympathy with her getting upset about them as a couple. Take away the baby, because I do feel sorry for that situation. But Remy and Bree, every time she cries about their situation, I'm like, no, you're treating him really badly.
Yeah.
And I know you're hurting, but he's the one that's also been hurting, and no one's there for him. You're just lashing out at him all the time, and he's got no one.
And she saw the effects that her rejection gave him the first time, and how he rebounded. And when they started seeing each other and spending time together, to then just kick him to the gutter again. She's wrapped up in herself about it. I mean, you can sort of understand why you would be, wouldn't you? But she's it's just another example of the lack of consideration to what she's doing to Remy. We laughed last week. He's the new Tane. He's the new doormat of the bay.
He is, yeah.
And I just don't like you. I don't like the way she treats him. I did like the conversation though when she's there on the porch. She's come home and she's like, "I've heard you're looking for me," because he's been all around town trying to find her after this Felicity conversation. And everyone's like, "Oh, he's looking for you, Dal." So she's gone over, hasn't she? And I thought about time she faced this conversation and told him,
Yeah.
And I did like it, and I like the way he handled it. He said, he was saying, I need you to know that nothing happened with that Mangrove River skank. Not in so many words. But why did you come around that day? And, she's like, I needed to tell you I was pregnant. And the look on his face, the Home and Away Facebook page or whatever, the Channel 5 account, the official account's been putting the stills up the last couple of days. His face just cracks me up. He's like,
what? You can hear the what in his head, even though he doesn't say anything. You can hear him going, what?
Yeah.
It was a good reaction, actually, even though it was like silent, but the face said it all, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it takes it rather well.
It does really well.
Now, importantly, she says she feels guilty about it all, and we were saying, wasn't we? Because I think it slipped your mind when last week, and we were saying, it's more. It seems to be more about her not wanting to find out that she slept with Jacob in the tent than anything else, and that's what the conversation quickly becomes about. I felt guilty about doing it. I felt like I cheated on you. Now we're in interesting territory here, because she's married to this fella, but she feels like she's cheating on her bit on the side that she's having an affair with. It's like everything's upside down, topsy-turvy here. This is interesting take on it. What do you make of that?
I think it proves her feelings for Remy, or the feelings at the time for Remy. I don't know whether they're still the same, but it proves to me that at the time when she was with Remy and Jacob kidnapped her and took her off to the woods or whatever, she was actually in love with Remy. She wasn't in love with Jacob. She was over him. She wanted to leave him. Her heart and her mind and everything with Remy. And as far as she was concerned, he was her future. That's how I'm reading that.
Yeah, it validated their bond, didn't it?
Yeah,
100%. And then it meant, okay, they were the real deal, and potentially could still be. The letter in the evidence bag was.
Oh yes, crime scene love letter. Yes, forgot about the crime scene love letter. So romantic. It was only like what she didn't even have time to write that much down, did she? She had about 3 seconds to write that note and shove it in her pocket, so it probably just said, "I love you, Remy."
She's a doctor. It was probably illegible.
What does that say? Paracetamol. Oh. Oh dear. Yeah, I think for me it's reminded us that they were in love. Where they are now and how they backtrack to that, I've got no idea, because she's not treating him right now like she loves him. She's treating him quite poorly, I think. And she has got some excuse because of what she's going through, and I get it, etc. And she's taking it out on him, but they should be working together to get through this. Not
absolutely. I know you've took the words out of my mouth. They should be on the same page. He
Mm.
is one of all the people. I mean, she's got friends and things now in the Bay. Now she's settled a bit, but he should be her rock. You know,
Yeah.
given the closeness and
Mm.
feelings for each other. You know, she's still got a lot to work through. Let's face it.
Mm.
And he's just so nice about. You know, they get interrupted abruptly, don't they, by Lovebirds, Cash, and Eden. So she legs it just as after she's announced all this, and you know, and he's saying he's saying basically it's fine, you know, you did what you had to do to survive. And you and I were saying for weeks, if she just told him, he would understand. He's not a plonker, you
No.
know.
No.
Like she just needs to trust in him a bit more, you know, in that
Yeah.
he'll be the decent person. Because, you know, I'm the first to hold my hands up. I thought he was a grade A tool when he first arrived. Womanizer. I
remember.
wrote. Do you remember? I wrote him off. Now I'm the first to admit I was wrong about him, because he's shown and he's proven time and time again with this whole Bree stuff that he's a decent bloke.
I think he is. And, you know, there's not many blokes that would still stick around after everything that's happened. You know, this guy bashed his hand, potentially ruined his career. I mean, he looks like he's back playing with Lyric now, but he's actually lost a lot as well. You know, he's suffered physical injuries and probably emotional damage from dealing with Jacob. He's been through a lot already. A lot of blokes just wouldn't tolerate that. They'd be like, "Oh my god, your ex is a psycho. I'm off." You know what I mean?
They would.
So
Yeah.
he absolutely adores this woman. I think he's loved her since the moment he saw her. You know, when he first
Me
saw her
too.
in the surf
Yeah.
club, and he was like,
Yeah.
"Who is that?" You know,
Yeah, me
it
too.
was
This
love
is
at first
that.
sight for him.
Yeah, it's that totally consuming. I can't even function without this person type of
Yeah.
loving it. Do you know what I mean? Like there isn't anybody else, and there never was going to. I mean, he even says that to her, doesn't he, this week at some point? And I just like that. It meant he got his foot back in the door,
Yeah.
and there's the appointment. Obviously, now he needs to work out what's going to happen. Are you going to get the test? And she's like, no, it doesn't matter, because I'm not keeping it. I've made my mind up. It's my choice. There's that conversation, isn't there? And then he gets a bit sort of taken aback by it, has another amazing talk with Eden. Eden and Remy are one of the best friendships in this show's history for me.
Really good.
They are, they are fast becoming my favourite friendship duo.
It feels real.
Ever.
It feels like you watch. It does feel like you're a fly on the wall watching a couple of friends, you know, talk to each other and tell each other their problems and counsel them each other through it. You know, they joke about stuff together, don't they? They try and have a laugh about this, and then they go, "Okay, right, seriously," you know. And that's how I talk with my friends. You know, we start by going, "Oh my god, guess what happened?" And we have a laugh about something awful that's happened, and then we go, "Okay, right, let's talk about it seriously. Let's think about how we're going to get through this and be there for each other." So it feels. I like the way these scenes are written. It feels kind of real. You can imagine them being really good friends.
I completely agree. Kudos to the writers here, because they have created a bond there that is genuine. You know, we like you say, we believe that. And I'm there thinking, right, he needs to go to Eden now. Come on, what's Eden think about this? You know, like, and like, let's go. And he does now. And there he is. And sure enough, she has the right things to say at the right time, you know. And this was no different.
Yeah,
and
I think it's
she
the
said you need
way
to
the
do the right
actors
thing.
are as well. I think it's it's the same as Tani and Flick when they're doing a scene together. It's their body language. It's the way they look at each other. It's all believable. It feels like a relationship, and it's the same with Eden and Remy. The way they kind of interact with each other physically, as well as the lines that they're saying, the way they look at each other, the way they hand on the shoulder, that kind of thing. It feels like a real friendship, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And she makes sure she says, look, mate, you need to be there. You're a friend. You're a rock. You need to be there at this appointment. So he goes back over, doesn't he? Says, I'm going to be there. And she says, I'd really like that. You know, like she was waiting for him to do it. So Next morning arrives, off they go to the clinic, to the appointment, and there's that sort of slow-mo, sad scene of him sort of pacing the hospital, just because it's Blockbuster week, but no other week. Yeah, and then he wants to be there afterwards, and he's fussing over her, and tries to cancel on the wedding reception gig he's got, which obviously we'll come on to shortly. But she says you've got to go, and it seems to be the turn a corner. I just wonder whether this decision of what if, what could have been, regrets and things, whether that's going to affect things going forward or not.
Yeah, it could do, couldn't it? I hope it doesn't, to be honest. I hope that this is a line in the sand now.
Yeah.
Drawing a line under that whole Jacob mess, and right, what do we do now? Let's start from scratch. What do we want? Do we want to be together? What does together look like? Have those conversations, because let's be honest, what they had before was an affair. It wasn't a real relationship. It was like a fantasy. One day I'll get to leave my husband and I'll get to be with you, and then we could run away and do whatever we want to do, and etc. So this is reality now. So they need that conversation of, okay, do we want to be together? And if we do want to be together, what does that look like? Do we take it slow? Do I need to go to counselling still? Do we need to go to couples counselling to go over all the stuff that we've been through together? I don't know. I feel like there needs to be a kind of a line in the sand, and almost like when we had Diggy 2.0, when they got back together. It needs to have a sort of reset of that relationship. Starting over, dating again, starting from scratch as if they've just met. That kind of.
Yeah. I agree. We need that. It's whether I think we're going to get that. And
probably not. It's a soap, isn't it?
Yeah, but think about it. There's baggage there that Dickie didn't have. Imagine, the first anniversary, or what would be the first birthday, or to me, there's going to be that in the back of your mind. So I think they're going to have tougher obstacles to overcome for that reset. But I agree, we need it, and they need it. And I still think Brie needs more time, more recovery, I think.
Yeah, I think they need to take it slow, but I don't think they will. I think it'll either be escalated into a big relationship, or it'll just fizzle out.
Now, what's another relationship escalating? We must mention it briefly because it was a brief thing during the week. Marley and John.
Oh, I love this. This is my new favourite ship.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm loving this. Are you not loving it?
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's just something that's happening,
I'm loving it. I love anything with John in. I'm like, more John, please. Yeah.
Well, Marley's like, I know you don't want to be mates, but it'd be super awkward if we're not,
it's a pizza.
And it works,
It does. Pizza works for me as well. I'll be honest. If you buy me pizza, I'm your friend for life. So
blokes are just so much simpler, Pizza, beer, get over it.
Yeah.
Come on, man. And John sort of brushes him off, doesn't he, at first? He's like, well, message received, blah, blah, blah. But later, I think John's... Because for everything that John is, right, underneath there is a kind man, really.
Yeah.
And it did sort of break my heart a bit when he says, I know I'm not everyone's favourite person around here, but I thought mine and Dean's friendship was more than a scribble on a whiteboard, and I thought he's right, he doesn't deserve that, and my heart did break a little bit for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's sulking a bit too much now. Come on, grab a slice, get on with it.
I did feel really sorry for him, and I think it showed us that vulnerable side of John, because he comes across as the clown, doesn't he? Comes across as super confident. He just comes in with a silly dad joke.
Yeah.
But this was like the mask had gone. I'm hurt.
Yeah.
I'm really hurt by this, and it did sort of pull on my heartstrings a bit, and I was like, John, I just wanted to give him a hug. And I wanted to get a big wiper out and wipe that whiteboard message away and stop him looking at it. I was like, just get over it. Just let's go and have a beer, John. Let's go and chill.
Yeah, I'd have
Yes.
cracked open a bottle and I'd have helped him compose a massive text rant to Dean.
How dare you? Yeah, Dino. I'd have gone to Karen. I'd have gone, hey, Karen, you know your boy. He's written me this message on a whiteboard and effed off it to Brisbane. What do you think of that? I'd adopt him into his mum.
Yeah, and I wouldn't
Dino.
blame you for it. So it sounds like hopefully, you know, John's gonna embrace Marley a bit more now. He's gonna give it a try, isn't he? And I'd like to see that really. It would help Marley a little bit because we had lots of Marley when he first arrived, and we haven't. I think with everything else going on, we've not really seen him do much else other than, you know, really not be accepted in by John. And I've got a lot of question marks about Marley still, about his papers, about him freaking out about Rose being a policewoman, his sister not being happy. Does his mum yet know that he's now living in the bed? You know, I've still got a lot of things that would just seem to be left 2 weeks back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about, like you said, we saw a lot of Marley at the beginning, but that was with Dean and Ziggy and Mac, Dean and Ziggy have gone. Mac is AWOL, you know, she's in the city with her mum.
Yeah.
So the only person that's left that Marley interacts with, really, apart from Xander, I guess, is Rose. So you can't just have him and Rose is obviously going to be caught up with all this Xander stuff anyway this week. So we need someone else. Marley needs another person to work with on screen, doesn't he? So John's the perfect person for that. And I think they've been hitting it off since the beginning anyway. I think they've, you know, from day one.
They have. And this is good. This is showing us.
Yeah.
I've said that about 4 times. What their rapport's going to look like.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I'm here for it. I want to see this.
Same. Yeah. Now, were you also here for the wedding of the century?
Of course. Front row seat.
Got lots to say. This was gorgeous. So, this was episode 8,000, Home and Away. Congratulations. Happy birthday.
Yeah, well done.
Aired here in the UK this week, and it was, for me, a gorgeous milestone episode.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Yeah.
So, start the day off the wedding prep. Eden's flapping. She's been summoned across the road to Flick. She needs to help try a dress on. We've been here before, haven't we? Trying dresses on. Eden and Flick. Eden spots Jasmine's engagement ring on the dresser there, out and proud, which it ends up being important later on. But I thought, God, more drama here now. He was going to propose to her, you know, he still loves her, blah blah blah. But it didn't happen, did it? Did you like the dress that she went with in the end?
I have questions about the dress.
Okay.
I have questions. So that morning of the wedding, they were like going through the wardrobe, her wardrobe. I assume Flick's wardrobe, or maybe Eden's wardrobe as well. I don't know. Combination of the two, looking for something suitable to wear. So I thought this wedding was very Flick because it was very spontaneous. It was very impulsive. It wasn't at all planned, and it was all a bit haphazard and then
it all changed on the day.
Yeah, it's such a Flick wedding. So I was really pleased because I was like, this feels very Flick, and I was just laughing at how ridiculous it was, really. But it was so her. The dress, right? So she was like, "Oh, I need to find a dress." Who? I need to know, any ladies out there who has an emergency wedding dress in the back of their wardrobe. Because I do not. I'll be honest, I do not. You know, fetch me the emergency wedding dress. I need to get betrothed immediately. I don't have anything for that scenario. And I was really shocked when she sort of just had this white. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't have any white clothes anyway, because when I wear white, people go, "Are you ill?" Because you look like death. It just doesn't suit me. So I do not have an emergency white dress in the back of the wardrobe.
You've not got a little white satin number back there, no.
I haven't. No, and maybe I'm failing as a woman now because I don't. And she was able to cobble together such a weddingy outfit in about 5 minutes. But
Do you know what is also funny? Like they tried on these other dresses that just weren't right, and then it's only when Eden says something, she goes, "Oh, I know the one, the one that
the
looks
wedding
what."
dress, the wedding dress is in the back of my wardrobe. I'm sorry. No, yeah, this was funny. I did have to laugh. I did, Jenny Aniston, just go with it.
Yeah,
Ridiculous. I'm going to buy myself. I'm going out shopping this weekend, so I'm buying myself an emergency wedding dress just in case I'm the only woman in the world that doesn't have one.
Stick it on the never. I'll maybe I ought to have an emergency tux or something.
I think you do. I think it must be a thing that we don't. Maybe we just are the only ones in the world that don't have emergency, wedding attire.
I'll tell you what I do have though. I do have emergency funeral attire.
Oh, okay, that's quite sad, but yeah, I do as well because I live in black, so my whole wardrobe is funeral.
No problem, you're good to go. There'll be no Primark dash. Yeah, you're good to go. Yeah,
I'm fine with that. I look good in black. It's white that makes me look like death. Yeah, no, I didn't love the dress, I'll be honest, but I'm not a dress person, so I was never going to love the dress. I was never going to be like, I would get married in that dress. That's not me anyway.
I liked that it was plain, understated.
Yeah,
and it, I actually quite liked it as wedding dress goes. You're right, she did seem to pull it from her ass, but
I think if it had been a ball gown, if she'd worn that first dress, it probably would have worked. That one that she was originally going to wear to the wedding, because it was a bit informal anyway. That first one, it was like a crop top type skirt scenario, wasn't it? That would have worked fine. Obviously, that's not going to work because it's got blood on it and God knows what else on it after wedding day disaster last time. So I think it needed to be understated. It needed to be simple and, I'm not going to say
reflective
basic.
of what the wedding was going to be, really.
Yeah. If she turned up in a ball gown, with diamantes on it in the middle of the woods barefoot, it would have looked ridiculous, wouldn't it? So
yeah. Well, she thought it was going to be on the beach at that point. We need to rewind a bit, don't we? Because the night before, it's only the day before, because you remember they decided to take control of it, thank God. Because is this an Aussie thing? Like somebody else does your wedding for you? I
don't know.
Sorry, that was very Craig Revel Horwood then, wasn't it? God. The tar.
Dying.
Just do that on the podcast. Yeah, so
yeah.
And obviously there's that funny scene. They've gone and knocked on Eden and Cash's love nest room, haven't they? got them out in their underwear and like, we're doing the wedding now. I'm like, yeah, it's your wedding. Absolutely.
Get on with it, love. Yeah.
And in the middle of the night, Tane rolls over and she's not in bed. And he's probably thought, shit, she's run again.
I would be thinking, oh God, here we go.
She's already halfway up the M1. And he goes out and he catches her on the phone to long distance call to Nick. Practicing her vows in Māori. Which gorgeous, and he's just beaming, isn't he? Then from ear to ear, because he had no idea that she'd done that for the first time, had she? Did he know?
No, Nick told him because.
Oh, did he?
When they after the wedding, when they were having those fights and they split up, didn't they? She threw the ring back in his face, and Nico said to him, Uncle, this girl, she's translated her vows and she was learning Maori, and she loves you. Basically, he was saying to him, things have gone to shit.
Don't give up.
Right now, but this girl does love you, and here's all the reasons why, and just hang in there was basically what I think he was. So he did know, but I think to actually see it and hear it with his own eyes and ears.
Yeah, and that she was up all night and she was still with Neek, still
Oh.
putting the effort in. I just think he knew in that moment, yeah, we're doing the right thing, you know. And there's now a higher probability she's going to turn up
Yes, yeah, exactly.
because
I
she's
think
preparing.
it's a good omen, isn't it? Because if she's up in the middle of the night preparing for the wedding, not freaking out, getting drunk, you know, grabbing the vodka from the airing cupboard or whatever, you know what I mean? Which she was doing 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
It wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago that she was like drinking from the towel cupboard. You know what I mean? So this is progress. That she's up in the middle of the
Boiler
night.
gin.
I can't think of anything just more disgusting, but you know, this is progress. The fact that she's up in the middle of the night practicing her wedding vows, not getting trashed and crying and saying, "I don't want to marry him." Oh, it could have gone either way. I'll be honest, couldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it would have been in the back of your mind. It would have been.
Yeah.
Now that inspires him to go all out with the Maori, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And last minute change of plans from the beach wedding. That's why we're saying at that point, you know, she thought it was a beach wedding, and we're in the bush somewhere.
Yeah. Nice. Very
Lovely
picturesque.
setting.
Yeah.
This was a feast for the eyes. This wedding, this ceremony, wasn't it? Absolutely. Nearly did a Craig Revel again. It was lovely.
It was really nice. It was so simple and understated, but so beautiful and so different from what we've had before. Because we've had beach weddings before, haven't we? And we've had like posh weddings. We've had understated weddings. We've had like I think Pippa got married in Summer Bay House, didn't she? The second time round.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of
right.
weddings in Home and Away, but I've never seen a wedding like this before. So this was really unique and special, even though it wasn't elaborate and over the top or whatever.
I don't think I blinked either for fear of missing something. I just was entranced. I've not even written any notes. We're going to have to talk about this from memory because I was entranced by it, and I think I'm going to rewatch it on the weekend, you know, and just sort of take it in again because I thought it was such a special episode. And since the Paratas were introduced, I think the show has been amazing at incorporating Maori culture, something that you and I have been quite, especially in the earlier days, were very open about our ignorance to it, you know, and we would be learning along the way. And I'm just so thankful that these people, these characters being introduced on the show, this show covering and in depth, and not just they happen to be Maori, that's something about them, and it's actually part of them, part of their story. It's when we talk about Ari and his funeral, the weddings, the family, the culture, the gatherings, it's all in there, you know, and it's all part of them, and we see it all, and we've learned so much, and I'm so grateful for the show for doing that, you know. Because I've looked things up and I've read up on things since, you know, and things I didn't know about, and I've got a greater understanding of it. And if that was the goal of the program makers, bravo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, same. I didn't know the word whānau, and I didn't know the word hungi, and you know, all these words that we're learning, and I'm probably pronouncing them absolutely terribly, but you know, I'm Googling them and saying, what does this mean? And then reading about it. And it is fascinating. And it is something that we've not had before. So
how many times have you go, oh my God, there's cooking food in the ground? What?
I know.
You know, I know that sounds silly.
A revelation.
You know, but it's these culturisms, is that even a word? You know, that helped that greater understanding. And they didn't have to have all that in there.
Yeah.
You know, that could just be a word on the character breakdown.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the language, like, or not only that, there was a good sort of 2 or 3 minutes solid Maori language.
I
Like,
really wish that we got subtitles for that, for the vows and
mm,
all and the celebrant was obviously saying Maori as well, whatever the ceremony words were that he was repeating. And there
yeah,
was that lady at the beginning that was, I think she was chanting or singing. I wish we knew what was being said in a way, because it would have, although it was still lovely to see it and to just watch it as it was, I wanted to
mhm,
know what was being said. I wanted to know what it translated to. So I was really sad that we didn't get subtitles
yeah,
so that we knew
yeah.
what was being said. But I don't think that retracted from the scene at all. I think
No.
we got what the message was. It was still really moving, even though I didn't know what they were saying. It was still
Oh yeah,
deeply
absolutely.
moved. Yeah, I still was
If
like
not, if
on the
anything,
verge. Yeah,
it added to how moving it was.
it was. Yeah,
If
yeah,
anything, because
yeah.
how much she's had to go through to get to this point, and you
Mm,
can hear it in her, and then the camera was just pointing at him, sort of listening to her speak, and you're
mm.
just like, oh my, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. Beverly Collard even
I know. I was going to come on to that later when you were saying the babe, but yeah, Liz McDonald herself from Coronation Street tweeted
was
that
weeping,
she was weeping at home and away.
as we all
Everybody,
were.
everybody
Mm,
was. Yeah,
mm. Gorgeous it was. That's a wedding I'd want to be at, you know.
yeah, absolutely. The
Uh,
no fuss, beautiful, moving, simple. I'm on board with all of that. Definitely.
yeah, same. And I'm going to watch it again. Now, the wedding reception was quite a contrast. It got a bit leery, actually.
I thought this was great actually, because the wedding ceremony was so Tane, and then the
Mm,
wedding reception was so Flick. I thought it was a really
yeah.
good mix of the two,
Oh,
because
yeah. I've not even considered that.
the first time around the wedding reception was going to be the, I don't know whether I'm pronouncing this right, but the hungi in
Mm,
the back garden, which was going to
mm,
be, the family were going to be cooking and preparing the food and etc. And that felt like a very, very Tane thing. But the salt, piss up was so Flick.
yeah, it was, wasn't it?
It really was. It was a
Lyric
nice
came
mix of the
through.
two. Because when you
Mm,
think about them, they are a bit of an odd couple, aren't they? They work somehow. They work. That chemistry that they've got on screen really works. But then I wouldn't have said that they were soulmates or really suited to each other. They're so different, and I
yeah.
think the fact that the wedding was so different sort of complemented the couple themselves, which I quite enjoyed.
Yeah, same, absolutely. And she sort of brings out his more fun side, and he
Yeah,
sort of calms her down as well. He sort of,
yeah.
grounds her a bit. And I think the middle place that they end up meeting is
Mm,
quite a nice spot for them both. I think they both suit it.
yeah.
And yeah, party's going wild, and Cash and Eden are doing shots.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
then.
Uh-oh. I started to feel a bit hungover watching this. When they had like the really close up of the face, but it was all blurry. So you knew,
Yeah.
like, when you get a flashback of a night out and it is very much like that, and you're like, what happened? And I remember talking to somebody, and I remember their face, but their face was like blurry and moving around. And
Mm.
that's how you remember it, isn't it? After a night out on the beer, I did get like a sympathetic like hangover watching those flashbacks. I was like, oh god, I've been there. This is awful.
Very interesting.
Oh,
Actually, it for me, it felt so far removed from how the formula of
oh
Home and
yeah,
Away that
absolutely.
I didn't know what to. I thought, I think I messaged you, didn't I? I was like, this episode is weird. I was like, what is going on? Is this a dream? Is this a parallel universe? Like, what is happening? Like, I can't read what I'm supposed to. What is going on? Like,
Oh, you obviously haven't
WTF?
had a night out on the Jägermeister. This is very
Clearly.
familiar to me, unfortunately.
Clearly.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what we're talking about is tonight's 5-star episode. Cash has woken up, hasn't he?
Mm.
And another day on Blockbuster Week, another cliffhanger. He's woke up after the wedding. He can't remember a damn thing. He's got the killer hangover, and
He's in the garden, shushing John.
staring at the sun.
I literally laughed out loud at that when John was like talking to him and he was like, shh. And then he was like, I'm sorry for the shushing, John. I lost it. That was absolutely killing me.
It was so funny, this episode. And John's like, do invitations have an expiry date?
Why wasn't I invited? That's the point, actually. Where were the oldies? Because this is something that Julie Smith raised on Twitter actually during the week, and she said, "Where was John and Alf and Rue and Marilyn? They weren't at the wedding reception."
No, and Marilyn did get an invite.
She did, because she brought the emergency cake round, didn't she?
Yeah, so she just decided not to bother. I think you only really went to it if you were walking past Salt when Flick was yelling off it.
I think you only went to it if you were under 35.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Lyric crowd. Yeah.
Yeah.
The K-pops.
Them K-pops. Oh, you killed me.
So there's a ring on it, isn't there? So this ring that Eden clocked on the morning of the wedding, they woke up the next day with a hangover, can't remember a thing, and she's got it on her finger. And he's absolutely freaking out, isn't he? What's going on? I can't remember it. What have I done? What's going on? Eden is acting very strangely. Calling Bubbers and Cutie, and I was thinking, what? This is why I was messaging you thinking, have I sort of died? And this is like heaven home and away, where everything's just a bit strange and on its head.
Oh dear.
Like, but no, she's winding him up, isn't she? Because he's not remembered anything the night before. And as the episode goes through, we get flashbacks and piecing together then from the moment they started doing shots at the wedding, what they got up to in this drunken wedding state. Weddings, it happens. You consume a lot of alcohol, don't you?
You do. That's the point, isn't it? As a guest at a wedding, you.
So by the end of the episode, we found out that they were just messing about drunk when they got back home and put the wedding ring on and fell asleep. She's woke up. He doesn't remember. He thinks he's proposed. She's run with it, which I thought was hilarious. And she's let him believe all day that he proposed to her. And I thought, how far is she going to take this? Is she going to let him sort of, okay, let's do it?
Let's get married tomorrow in exactly 2 weeks. I know. I was wondering when she was going to come clean, because she told Remy, didn't she? Because they, that morning when they woke up, she didn't set him straight at that point. He's wigging out. He's gone outside to puke in the grass, and John's come over and had that conversation with him. And then they've gone to Salt. She's still wearing the ring, isn't she, in Salt? And they bumped into Remy, and Remy's like, how's it going? Are you feeling okay? And she's like, oh yeah, we're engaged. This is my fiance. And I'm like, oh my God, now she's telling people. So I'm like, does she really think this has happened? Because we didn't know at this point that she was kidding, did we?
Well, I couldn't quite work it out. She was behaving. She wasn't being Eden. She wasn't very
She wasn't
Eden.
being normal, no. But I couldn't put my finger on what was going on. And then obviously when she sent Cash to the bar, didn't she, get me a coffee? And then she turns to Remy. Remy's like, what? And she's like, yeah, I'm just joking. Like, he doesn't remember anything. I'm just pulling his leg. It's a joke. And Remy's like, oh, you're lying to the guy that you love. Is this a good idea? Maybe you should just come clean. And she goes, yeah, well, he started it because he went along with it and he didn't tell me he didn't remember. So he started lying first. I was like, ooh, not sure about that. Not sure.
I mean, it is funny though.
It is funny. I mean, the flashback, because before we saw the flashback, I thought that maybe he'd passed out. She'd put the ring on while he's asleep.
Yeah.
And then I thought, that's too far now. Like, first thing in the morning, she would have got a laugh out of him. Like, oh my God, yeah, we got engaged. Oh, really? And then no, we didn't. It was, I'm just joking. Take the ring off, and that's it. Over. But because she dragged it out like most of the morning, I was thinking, this is too far. This isn't funny anymore. And it wasn't until we saw the flashback where he actually was going along with the joke at the time, but he's just forgotten since then. That was like, okay, she's not being mean. she's, he hasn't just forgotten. It wasn't
Yeah.
her just doing something behind his back. Because
Yeah. Yeah. If it was, I same as you, I worried
yeah,
that she'd done it
yeah,
and I thought that's a bit sinister, really. It's a bit cruel,
mm,
that.
yeah. I'm glad we saw
Mm.
that flashback, because at one point I was like, I think this is a bit mean, because we find it funny, but if I put myself in Cash's shoes, he really loved Jasmine. He bought this ring for her.
Well,
He
yeah.
was devastated when she, like, a lot of people on this week on Twitter have been saying, I miss Jasmine. I wish these two would get back together. Wish she'd come back to the Bay. And I was like, I don't agree. I was a big Jasmine fan, but for her to come back now and get back with Cash, I wouldn't respect Cash after that, because if you remember, Jasmine went away to visit her dead husband's parents and then just decided not to come back ever again.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either. I think
No,
Cash is enjoying life a bit more nowadays as well.
he is. He's a bit more interesting now. I think Eden
Yeah,
brings out, but him and Jasmine together, love Jasmine on her own, but
yeah,
Jasmine and Cash, boring.
yeah. I didn't like it yet.
Yeah,
Snooze.
snooze
Yeah,
fest.
Jasmine wouldn't have done this big prank, would she? Blimey.
God no, and she'd be horrified if she found out
Mm.
about it. She'd be like, it's not funny.
Well, he
Yeah.
wasn't he? He sits her down. He downs a bottle of Evian or whatever to get some courage, and then he sits her down, doesn't he? And he goes, "Oh, I don't remember. I'm really sorry. I don't remember proposing to you." And she's like, "Lols, punks." Like, I got you. It was funny, and he just was like, "Yeah, funny," and storms off in a huff. And I thought, "Oh God."
Yeah.
However, didn't blow up, and I'm so happy it didn't. When that scene where he's outside, and he's sulking by the pool, and she brings him a beer out. She goes, "I'm really sorry." You know, um, I didn't think it would, affect you so much. I just thought it was a bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you did lie to me. You did, you should have told me from the beginning that you didn't remember anything.
Mhm.
And so they both sort of, it was a really nice moment. I thought, oh, do you know what? When I saw that, I thought, I'm really happy that didn't blow up into a row. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? Not
Yeah.
everything has to be a row. Do you know what I mean?
No,
Just,
no, it's
you
exhausting
both,
when it is.
yeah, you're both feeling a bit sensitive. Like,
Yeah.
get the ring off when you eventually, olive oil and soap. And
Oh dear.
that was going to happen, wasn't it? Again,
Yeah.
that rom-com type, element to the end of the week where, all the rings, fingers swollen, can't get the ring off,
Yeah. And he's
just,
like, yeah, good one. Haha. And she's like, no, really. No, really, it's actually
yeah.
stuck.
She does
Yeah.
seem to have taken umbrage to how desperate he didn't want that ring on her finger. So
I think, it's awkward, isn't it? Because I don't think it's necessarily saying something about their relationship, but it's not a ring for her. He bought it for someone
yeah,
else. It's
yeah.
weird.
And putting myself in Eden's place, I wouldn't want some other bitch's ring.
No.
Go
Yeah.
and get me own. You know
Get
what I
that
mean?
down the pawn shop. Get it sold. Get it out the
Mm-hmm.
house. I mean, the fact that he's clinging onto it would make me think, "Ooh, why are you
I
clinging
know.
onto this ring that
Yeah.
belonged to would have belonged to someone else?"
When the time comes, it needs to be twice the size of that. Okay.
Absolutely. I've seen what you're capable of, and now double it. Yeah. I don't know. I think that needs that Jasmine cloud that's hanging over them needs to be
Yeah.
resolved. I think that ring needs to be sold out of the
Yeah.
house.
Well, I think.
Move on.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and I think the ring symbolises that. So hopefully that's something that happens. And then finally in the week, you remember, actually, cast your mind back last week, there was Rando trying to break into an ambulance.
Oh yes.
And Xander, that's his name. Xander and Jamie, his new colleague we've never seen before, they did say, didn't they? Oh, this happens all the time. Don't worry about it.
News to us. Yeah.
Now, when we rejoin them this week, they're back and they've got weapons.
Yeah.
And they basically beat them up to get drugs out of the ambulance. So we were a bit like, oh, is that going to become something? Yeah, clearly it is. So now, we didn't see it, did we?
No.
I was a bit gutted about that. I really wanted to see.
You won't see Xander get hit with a baseball bat in the spleen.
Yeah, yeah. Whilst I'm having my tea. Yeah.
Okay. Note for the writers: more baseball bats to the spleen, please.
Well, I'm not being funny, but literally the week before, the Friday before, I've had to watch Justin pummel this bloke. Is there a different rule if they've got a bat? Why can't we
That's a
see
good
it?
point. I don't know. Yeah. Mm,
Is that deemed too violent?
maybe. I don't know what times it go out on Channel 7 in Australia. Do they have different? I
7,
think
isn't it?
I think for Channel 5 you could easily get away with that. I mean, I was watching something on the other day on Sunday afternoon that was way more violent than that on 5 Star. So
I don't think Channel 5 are giving a crap anymore.
no, I don't think they are. I've seen some really bad stuff recently on Channel 5 and my
You
on
know
Five
that
Star
I think
in the
they're thinking
afternoon.
Ofcom,
Yeah.
bring it on.
Yeah.
Like the other night, you get the helpline thing at the end of an episode, when there's been like an important issue.
Yeah.
Brie went for an abortion and there was nothing.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, Brie gone for an abortion. There was absolutely nothing at the end. I thought,
Mm.
gosh, it's a bit slapdash over there these days. They don't think they care. Anyway, they've been Xander and his fella.
Rumor? Started a rumor there. Sandra and his fella. It's forgotten all about Stacey. Crikey.
Want to stay at the YMCA.
I'm here for it, but I didn't realise we were going there.
But it's too late. He's dead. So.
Oh God.
Ship's
Do you know what?
This segment's not going the way intended.
The way you delivered that news was just as caring as Rose when she told him, "Your mate's dead, by the way." It was awful.
Good luck in the CT.
he was like, "What's happened to my friend? Is he all right?" She's like, "No, he's dead." Okay. Good operation. See you later.
Text me when you're out.
FYI,
Yeah.
Friend's dead. Oh God.
Yeah,
that
was a bit cold.
It was so cold. So cold. But anyway, we digress.
We do. So is this a random just throw it in at the end of a Friday? What?
I don't know. When we had that scene when Rose went back to the police station because she's pacing around the hospital, isn't she? And Xander's in surgery, and they're like, it could be a while, and he's got recovery, and she's like, right, I'm gonna go and do something. I need to do something, and she goes to the police station, doesn't she? She clocks in with some random policewoman that's in there. Hands her a file. How far have you got investigating it? She goes, oh yeah.
Where's Emerson? Segue. Sorry.
Oh yeah, don't know. Good question.
Mm.
And the police lady's like, we're investigating. They've took all the drugs out of the ambulance, take all the fentanyl and all the amphetamine or whatever. I can't remember what she listed now out of the back of the ambulance. And I don't know whether, because we've been given a list of the drugs that were taken, and we seem to be given more details about this drug ambush, whatever you want to call it. Are we going down a bigger drug storyline? Is this going to turn? Is this just a, like you say, a Friday night episode, and then when we never hear of it again? Or could this be going down a drug story? We haven't had a drug story for a while in the Bay.
No. Yeah, and who are these people? Are they linked to somebody?
Are they just like crackheads that are looking for a fix, or are they stealing it to sell? Do they work for somebody?
It's got to be linked somehow, hasn't it?
Yeah, is there a cartel? Is there a drug problem in some of it? You remember years ago we had this like Tweakers storyline when we had like Zoe McAllister storyline when she was the sewer-based stalker, and that Sarah, I can't remember her name now, Sarah something, that she was crazy. We had all of those storylines, and we had all this stuff about Tweakers. It was when we had the drop-in centre and Noah was working there. And he was dealing with people that were addicted to drugs, and it was crystal meth, wasn't it? We had this huge crystal meth storyline about all these problems that people were having, and everyone was hooked on it, and etc. Are we going down that route? I don't know.
It'd be definitely interesting. It's got to mean something. I mean, wide open at the minute, isn't it, about what on earth's going on.
Mm.
At the minute, the only thing I'm thinking we're going down is because Xander's brain's swelling or something, isn't it?
Mm.
And he's some sort of brain damage or something's affected him, and he's violent.
Yeah.
He's woken up, hasn't he, at the end of the episode and sort of screamed.
That can be a reaction to anaesthetic, though, can't it? I think, because he's
You
had an
think?
operation. Yeah, because they were saying he's torn his spleen as part of the injury that he's got, and obviously for that operation that he's gone and had on fixing that tear, he would have been put under anaesthetic to knock him out. And you can react violently to anaesthetic if you there's like some kind of contraindication thing where people do wake up screaming.
I was thinking as he woke up with, personality change, and
it could be that. Yeah, it could well be. The immediate thought I had was a reaction to anaesthetic, but it could well be a head injury, head trauma.
Yeah. And of course he looks like he's hurt Bree, doesn't he? And she's just had the procedure. So that's a whole other cat. But I suppose we need to see. It's wide open, But that's my first initial feeling was, is Xander going to be different now? Is he going?
It could be. Yeah, I don't know. Anything could happen, couldn't it?
Yeah, but it's a bit random that these fellows have just decided they want the ambulance drugs all of a sudden. You're right. It's got to mean something.
Yeah, and this guy that we've seen in one episode is now dead. To kill some random off like this.
My other half was like, "Oh my god, it's my favourite." He said two words. I was like,
I know. I quite like the look of Jamie. We could have had Jamie in a few episodes, but no, he's gone. Right, it's time for Your Say on the Bay. This is the segment of the pod where we look at your tweets and your reactions on social media, and we share a few of those comments with the whole group. Well, that made me sound like a teacher then. When you get you get busted in class when you're passing a note to someone and then they go, share it with the group. Share it. I didn't hear it before I said it out loud. So I'm going to share all your notes with the whole group.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Mom, in school, we're very sorry, segue already, but we had to call teachers mom.
Did you? No, I didn't. Mrs. and Mr. was, That's very posh.
It is very strict.
Your mom? That's amazing. Now I'm segueing because it's making me think of that bottom episode where they meet that countess and they keep going, your mom? Fish poo, your mom. Sorry, I'm losing it. It's a good episode if no one's watched it. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about.
Sorry.
Would you believe?
Yeah.
So, Your Say on the Bay. So I am going to share your notes with the rest of the class. But just before we do that, just a reminder that we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, at Coastal News Pod. So come and find us, type Coastal News Podcast in, like, subscribe, follow, etc. Do all of that shenanigans. Get in touch with us. We watch the show on 5-Star at 6:30 p.m. pace. And what we usually do is tweet along with the episode as well. So we use the hashtag Home and Away on Twitter, and we talk to anybody that's online basically about everything Home and Away. Join in the conversation with us if you see us tweeting. And we do have a few regulars that we chat to. We really appreciate you. I gave you all a name drop in last week's episode. So if you haven't listened to that, go back to last week. You might have got your name dropped in Your Say on the Bay last weekend.
A few did notice.
They did, yeah, which is nice. Yeah. If you're not on social media, we also have an email account, which is coastalnewspod@gmail.com. So if you want to get in touch by email, feel free to do that. Give us your thoughts. We love chatting with people. We love talking about Home and Away, obviously. So let us know. Talking of our email address, actually, have we spoken about the Diggy competition?
No, you've just reminded me now you were talking about it. Go for it, because we should have done it at the top of the hour. Yeah.
Reminder, yeah. So we're giving away a very, very exciting giveaway. We're giving away a photograph of Ziggy and Dean, which is signed signed, I know, autographed by the actors themselves. So Sophie Dillman and Patrick O'Connor, we met them 3 weeks ago now in London, which was fabulous, and we've got a whole episode on that as well, so go back to that and listen to that. So email us an answer to the question, which is, you've got the question, haven't you, or have I?
I've got it, hang on. Dean and Ziggy recently gave birth to a beautiful baby daughter. What is her name?
Yes, so what is her name? coastalnewspod@gmail.com. Email us your answers, and you've got until, is it 27th?
Yeah, midnight on the 27th to enter, and we'll do the draw on the podcast, so you have to keep listening out on the podcast.
Fabulous. Yep, so get in touch with us on email with that answer if you want to win that photograph, and it is a lovely photograph as well.
Yeah, we're so excited. It's the biggest.
It is.
It's the best thing. We've like I said, we've done a few, and this is the best one.
It is definitely.
I mean, the mugs are pretty good though.
Mugs are good. I love my mug. I'm actually drinking wine in a can out of my mug tonight.
Of course.
I probably shouldn't admit that, but yeah, I am. So yeah, get in touch. And
wine in a can, in a mug.
Good luck. In a mug. Good luck, anyone that enters. So back to Your Say on the Bay. God, I keep segueing off this topic. Let's get on. Let's get on with this. So
yeah, get to it, woman.
Get to it. Get to the bloody point. Sorry. So this week, I think we have to discuss the wedding of the year. We have to. How can we not discuss this on Your Say on the Bay? This was obviously the main storyline in the 8,000th episode, which aired on 5 Star at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday night, and then it aired again on Friday at 6 p.m. So it's on the My5 app. If you go on the My5 app, it's the episode for Friday the 19th of May. If you haven't seen this episode yet, I do recommend giving it a watch, because Tani and Flick finally got wed. So we want to know what you guys think. What do you think of the wedding? Yeah, what do you think of the wedding? So I have some comments to share about what people thought of the wedding.
Come on, can't wait.
Are you ready? Okay. So just before we start talking about the actual wedding, there was some trepidation about whether the wedding would actually go ahead or whether there would be another wedding day disaster. And I can't really blame anyone for being cautious because this is home and away. And as we know, in home and away, weddings do not necessarily run smoothly.
No, and we've been burnt before.
We have. We have, definitely. So there were some comments, pre-wedding jitters from some viewers. So Marvin on Facebook said, if pirates turn up and kidnap Flick an hour before this ceremony, then I am done. He's like, fair enough, Marvin. I'd be totally on board with you if that happened. So,
that's tickled me. That
some trepidation. Pirates did not show up. FYI, spoiler alert. Did not show up before the wedding. Thank God, because I don't think any of us could have taken that. Definitely not Marvin on Facebook, because he would have been done with that shenanigans.
Just got visions of Jack Sparrow running around in summer.
Oh God,
whisking Flick off with a bottle of rum in his hand. Yeah.
Do you know what? I wouldn't hate that either, to be honest. But there we go. Wouldn't hate it. Pauline said Tane is long suffering taking this lady on. She is going to be really hard work. ... if the wedding actually happens this time. So Pauline also wasn't sure that the wedding was even going to go ahead. Lots of
I don't think any of us were. I don't even think Tane was so sure, was he?
No,
I think he cacked it when she wasn't in bed.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Yes, there was quite a few comments on, is this even going to happen? Oh, am I going to get invested again? And it's not going to happen. But thankfully it did happen. As Pauline mentioned there, Tane long suffering taking on this lady, she's going to be hard work, etc. There were quite a few other comments, as you can probably imagine, sort of questioning what the hell is Tane even doing, marrying this woman the second time round? What, he's a glutton for punishment, I think was someone's comment. Lynn was quite abrupt. So Lynn's on Facebook, she said Flick's got some kind of mania or disorder because she's the way she behaves. And, you know, Lynn said she's so immature and so over the top. I don't know how Tani puts up with her. So yeah, there was a lot of people agreeing with a lot of likes for Lynn's comment on Facebook, and even Pete.
She's I would say high maintenance.
She is. Mania.
And in a polite way of putting it, we said it on the sort of main episode discussion this week, didn't we? They sort of balance each other a bit.
Yeah.
He sort of grounds her a bit, because imagine what she'd be like if she didn't have him.
Oh God.
To ground her, and then she sort of funds him up a bit. You know what I mean? Like, and they sort of.
It works. It's weird, but it works. I don't know
Yeah.
I don't know how, but it does.
Mm.
Pete chipped in and he said, "How long is it going to be before she throws another wobbler?"
Pete's not feeling it.
Pete's not feeling it. Lorraine jinxed us. Lorraine potentially jinxed us. She put, "I hope the wedding goes ahead this time with no drama." You can't say that about a soap, Lorraine. There's always going to be drama. I mean, thankfully there wasn't any this time around, but that was a jinx.
Do you think, just very quickly, do you think this is no drama, happy ever after? We've got the wedding.
We'll come on to that.
Okay.
I have some comments.
Okay, sorry.
Park that thought. I will come back to you. There was a comment from someone called Felicity, not the Felicity, obviously.
Are you sure?
I checked. Yes, someone else with a different surname, a different face, and they commented, "Half expected Felicity to pause, grimace, and run back inside the house. She's the human cuckoo clock."
Oh my gosh, they're not holding back, are they?
No, some of these
What's
comments
going on
really
here?
make me laugh. The pirate comment made me laugh. The human cuckoo clock. I mean, that is so funny. Jeez.
I think the pirate comments won the week.
Marvin, you've won the week. So there was lots of trepidation about whether this wedding was going to go ahead, why Tane's even doing it. You know, is he mad to go back there? On the other side of the fence, lots of comments about the ceremony itself, all positive. I didn't find anything negative about the actual wedding itself. Everybody was absolutely loving this wedding. So we had some quick comments. Leslie said it was amazing. Bev said absolutely gorgeous. Patricia said that was the best wedding ever. Dawn said, again, best wedding ever, had to watch it twice. Lorraine said it made me get goosebumps. Beautiful. I loved the whole thing, the whole place, and the wedding day. Lots of people saying they shed a tear. Janet said so beautiful, it made me cry. Sue also crying, said made me cry when Flick said her vows, the way they looked at each other. It was so beautiful, and I loved seeing all the Maori traditions.
Oh, what lovely comments! And it's we've echoed them, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a unanimous from the audience there. No one's got a bad thing to say, have they?
Absolutely not. No, everything was really positive. So again, Sharon, lovely wedding, simple, but it was very moving, very touching. As we mentioned earlier in the pod, Beverly Callard, you know, Liz McDonald from Coronation Street herself, she tweeted that she was crying during the episode. You know, everybody was very moved and very touched by this. Lots of comments about the Maori touches to the wedding as well. So Rachel commented, this was a great episode. I loved seeing Tane's culture. I like these types of episodes where we get to see more of that. Yeah. And Summer chipped in, said the spiritual ceremony actually made the hairs stand up on the back of my neck, and I loved it. I was in tears. So a lot of people, you know, really
strong reaction. Yeah,
really liking that. Yeah, I think the same thing happened when we had the lessons last year. You know, when Tane took Nico away for a few days and taught him the Taiaha? I can't remember how to pronounce that. Taught him all of that, and then obviously the haka at the funeral. We've had a lot of these Maori culture episodes, and people are really loving these. So, you know, kudos to Home and Away for doing these, because we're lapping it up over here. We don't as we mentioned on the main pod, we don't necessarily know anything about any of this culture, because it's not something that we you know just learn day to day, but it's making a lot of people look into it and try and learn about it.
Because do you know what, it's severely underrepresented.
It is
on TV, you know. I've not seen it in any other program to this level anyway.
No.
You know.
And I do watch a lot of TV that comes from Australia and New Zealand. I'll be honest, because the Wi-Fi app keeps recommending me everything that comes from Australia and New Zealand. They're like, you might like this, and I'm like, I probably will, yeah. So it's right. I've not seen anything in any other shows that I know of that's represented.
I think it's been handled so well, gorgeously. I said it all half an hour ago, but you know,
yeah.
And I'm just so grateful that
Yeah.
they've and this isn't the first, like you said, the first episode, the hackers, the Tahars. Ari's funeral was another moment. Honestly, the reaction from the audience to Ari's funeral was out of this world. You know, we enjoy seeing this, you know, and I think there's an extra level of poignancy about it because this culture is so in touch with its emotions, and these characters are so close to it that it just adds that extra layer of poignancy. Yeah,
absolutely. It's those emotions and that family connection, and that's essentially what Home and Away was built on, isn't it? That family spirited, you know, all of those themes are still there. It's just, you know, modern day Homers, we're not getting the Foster family feels. Now we're getting the Maori culture family feels. It's just slightly different, but we're still loving it.
How lucky are we to get that? You know, we're so lucky.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I couldn't find anything bad to say about the ceremony at all, which is really nice. Lots of people were actually saying that watching Tane and Flick feels like watching a real life couple, because of the way the characters are being portrayed by the actors, the way that they interact with each other, not just verbally but physically, the way they look at each other, the way they hold each other.
You've said this, haven't you, before? It's and I think that's why it's a couple we all root for, because it feels right, it feels real. And I can see that, you know, the chemistry of the two actors is off the scale, really. You don't get it often on soap either, because especially when soaps, because it's so quick and filmed so fast, and I suppose it's quite difficult to capture sometimes. And we've had it countless times on Home and Away where the coupling's not quite right. You're not really feeling it. You're not really invested. And these have obviously had that well-worn, you know, well-trodden track of will they, won't they? But they, even when they just sort of look at each other and you know, do you know, like the other week when she'd gone round, she said, I need to get away, and he pulled her and kissed her, and it was a little bit cliche, but it was like, oh God, like it genuinely looks like he's gonna break down here.
It feels real. It feels like you're watching. It's that what we want to watch when we watch a soap is we want to see escapism. We want to see like that fantasy world, to forget about the day job and forget about life for 5 minutes. But it's also a kind of, we want to see that fly on the wall. We want to feel like we're watching somebody.
I want to catch myself.
Yeah,
saying, "Oh God, no, it's not real." you know, like
yeah, absolutely. But people are buying into it, definitely.
Yeah, and I can see why. You know, and you, like I say, you've said it a few times about them too. The actors are doing a stellar job.
They are. I think they are, because when I cast my mind back only to last year, I mean, like I say, everyone's been talking about Jasmine this week on Twitter and saying, I wish she'd come back, because obviously Jasmine's engagement ring has been part of the storyline this week, which has reminded people that Jasmine existed, you know, and all that kind of thing. So people are saying, oh, I wish Cash and Jasmine would get back together. And I'm like, no, for me, they were just so boring. No chemistry on screen whatsoever. Whereas Flick and Tane have got buckets of chemistry, haven't they?
Yeah, I think so.
In comparison.
Other couples pale in comparison.
Yeah, they do. Do you remember on the morning of the wedding, we talked about it in the main pod, when Flick was deciding what to wear, and she was kind of going through her wardrobe and going, this dress, no, yeah. And Eden said something to her like, you'd look good in a bin bag, and that's why I hate you.
Yeah.
which I thought was so true as well. And lots of people were agreeing with that. So there was lots of comments on the actual dress that Flick chose in the end. So Michelle said that dress is awful and it looked like a see-through towel, but she's gorgeous. And someone else replied to Michelle and said, I thought it was a night dress.
Gosh.
And then Geraldine chipped in and said, yeah, but she looks fab in everything. So basically, I think some of the comments, not everyone was loving the dress. I think some people were wishing it was more of a wedding-y, more elaborate, you know, it's a bit understated, a bit simple, which I think for the venue that we ended up at, it was kind of perfect for that.
Yeah, and also it wouldn't have gone with the wedding anyway.
No, exactly. Yeah.
The wedding was very stripped back. Two witnesses, that were it. Do you know what I mean? Like, she'd have turned up in a big number.
Yeah, she'd look ridiculous and felt like a tit, wouldn't she? Especially
plus,
yeah.
You know, yeah, you're right. And plus, you know, what you were talking about, you know, that how she just pulled it from the back of a wardrobe. It sort of had to be something you might have in the back of your wardrobe.
It's not. I'm sorry. And some people did comment on this.
It's closer than like a veil and a.
It's closer to a normal
ruffles.
A normal evening gown. You know, going to a wedding as a. I mean, you wouldn't go to a wedding as a guest in white, but you know what I mean. It's closer to a.
You would if you hate the bride.
You would. It's closer to evening wear, isn't it, than bridal wear, I guess. So you could, you know, if you stretch your imagination, you can imagine her having this at the back of a wardrobe. But like I said in the main episode, there are some people commenting as if you'd have a dress like that in the back of your wardrobe. You know, as I said in the main episode, I don't have an emergency wedding dress on hand for my emergency betrothal. It's just not something that I've got in the back of a wardrobe. But Flick obviously does, so we have to just go with it and, you know, just Jenny it. So there were a lot of comments on the dress. Philip said she's beautiful, but the dress does nothing for her. You know, there was lots of people saying this, you know, it wasn't the most special outfit that she could have worn. And people were preferring the first outfit that she had, you know, the skirt and the crop top that she had in the first wedding, which is now covered in blood. So that's why she wasn't wearing it, obviously, in the second one. But it wasn't just Flick's outfit that got people commenting. David on Twitter did have a pop at Cash, actually, because he said Cash looks like he's about to go and get some pizza from Salt. Could he not have tucked his shirt in?
Cash.
Yeah. Fun Cash. Cash. Yeah.
Cash.
Definitely
not Cashmere.
Cashmere Newman. Yeah, it wasn't Cashmere, was it? It was like a check brown and white.
I mean,
number.
Yeah. It was something you would just wear on a Saturday, whatever.
It was, but what could he have worn? You know, that setting, he was barefoot, white jeans and a check shirt. If he'd worn a suit barefoot, we'd have laughed our heads off because it would have looked ridiculous. If he'd upstaged the bride, that wouldn't have been cool. You know, I don't know what else he could have worn. He probably could have tucked his shirt in and put a belt on.
He didn't look far back enough in his wardrobe, clearly.
He didn't have an emergency, wedding attire like everyone else seems to have managed to find. Yeah.
I thought he looked dapper. I thought he had on a nice white pair of jeans or whatever it was.
Yeah.
White cotton pants, which you don't pull out every day, you know, because you're gonna spill something on those.
Oh yeah.
I thought he looked all right, but I do take your point, David, that he was looking a bit casual, really, for such a momentous occasion, especially when you saw what Tane was wearing. I mean,
yeah, but there
was no way he was going to upstage Tane, was there?
No, he's the groom. He needs to look. Yeah, I didn't think Cash looked that awful. Maybe a bit of a tuck and a bit of an iron would have gone a long way. Yeah. There we go. What about that wedding reception? Now, we had lots of comments on the ceremony. And the vows, and everyone saying how beautiful it was, and that, you know, shed a tear, Maori culture, loved it, etc. There wasn't a lot of comments about the wedding reception. As I mentioned earlier in the episode, we had a comment from Julie about where some of the characters weren't visible. You know, we didn't have Alf, we didn't have Rue, we didn't have Marilyn. Some people weren't at the reception, which was disappointing not to see them there enjoying themselves. But Stacey on Facebook was really enjoying the post-wedding entertainment provided by Lyric, because she commented, does anyone know if you can actually download Someone Like You. And Sai, this reminded me of a text message I got from you on Thursday night.
Oh, you've proper thrown me into the bus here. How dare you?
So you were quite, enthused by Lyric's performance on Thursday night. You texted me to tell me so.
What night was it? I had a glass of wine.
And I have promised you that I'm going to track down an LP for your Christmas present for this year, because your favourite song, your song of the week for you, Someone Like You.
Favourite song of the week? Probably she's taking... Right, listen, don't put words in my mouth.
I'm just imagining you sat there all day working from home with Someone Like You in the background.
Make me fall apart when you're ringing my tears. Yeah. No, listen.
No?
What I said was... I'm going to have to find the message. No, it took me ages. Right. Listen to me squirm. I said, I've heard it that many times. I think it might be growing on me. Send help or something.
Okay.
Like, but do you not think
I read between the lines.
Yeah, you've run with it, sister.
Oh dear.
Gonna call you Usain.
Sorry.
Do you not
What were you
think they've
gonna
missed a
say?
trick not sticking that on the old Spotify or something?
Have they
They could
not?
have made
I haven't looked it up, but have they not? I know Theo in real life. Obviously, Matt Evans. Matt Evans is a singer-songwriter in his own right in real life, isn't he? And he's got that Over It, I think it's called, song.
Yeah, but is this one of his songs? Is it that they just
I don't
pass
think
off as...
so. I don't know.
What's the... You'd have thought that they would have coined a bit of that in, you know.
They could. Do you know what they could have done? They could have been this year's Eurovision entry for Australia, and they could have submitted Someone Like You.
They need to do that. Can you imagine that? They need to do that.
That's disappointing, actually.
How is someone listening from Australia, how is the Eurovision entry decided?
Can we decide?
Well, I've typed Lyric.
For next year, can we decide that it's going to be Lyric?
Yeah.
Right, postal vote. We'll postal vote that in, yeah? Let's start a YouGov petition or something. Yeah, let's do that.
Hang on a moment. I'm on Spotify here. Lyric. Oh no, it's not that.
That's not recognisable.
But do you know what's funny? I've only typed Lyric and a song called Someone Like You's come up.
Are you serious? On Spotify?
No.
Maybe
Home and Away 2023 soundtrack.
Ooh.
That's just all the background music in it. I'll take that offline. That'll be my homework. You'd have thought that would have been like at the end of the app. Stream this
like
now
you.
or something.
I know Matt Evans is on Spotify, and I know he's got a single called Over It out. So yeah, maybe we need a lyric profile as well.
Good luck to him.
So you were asking me earlier on in Your Sound the Bay about not just the wedding but the marriage. What do we think about the marriage? Do we think the marriage will last? Well, there's a couple of people that commented about the feasibility of this marriage. Let's put it that way. So Jenny has said Flick is pretty high octane all of the time. I think Tani wants to settle down and have a family, but that's never going to happen with her. Jenny's not feeling it.
She's always 3 steps behind him though, isn't she? You know, she's not wrong, I suppose.
Yeah. And Nigel's quite blunt about his feelings on this topic. So Nigel says, sadly, I can't see it lasting.
Thanks,
what do
Nigel.
We think? Burst the bubble, Nigel.
Thanks for your well wishes.
Imagine that in the wedding. When they send, in the wedding they send a book round to everyone to sign it, and you say something nice, and then they keep that forever in a drawer somewhere. It's got, sadly, I can't see it lasting, Nigel.
I'm on the fence about it, because I think after everything and the way she is, we've spoke at length over the months, about her selfish side. And I don't know. we've got to believe that she's changing and she's bettering herself because she's turned a corner with her coming to terms with her parents, haven't we?
Yeah.
I think if we need to factor that in, because without that, she's going to be going around the same old pattern, you know, of treating him like muck. So I think it's too early to draw a proper conclusion on it, you know?
Yeah. Yes.
I want to believe it'll be better.
Thank you for listening. We will be back with more episode discussion from Summer Bay soon. Until then, join the discussion online at Coastal News Pod.